I want to be able to encourage you today on what things you can do to rebuild your business. Now, why would I even want to share this with you? Because in December of 2010, Fred and I moved from the Tampa, Florida area to McKinney, Texas, in order to build our business in a new market. We had been in Premier already 9 years, and we really wanted to expand. And part of what happens when you expand is it also gives you the opportunity to stabilize and grow your income more effectively when you're in the direct selling industry. So we moved here. We had no friends outside of Premier or family to help us get our business going. And so we came really knowing no one. And so the things that I'm going to share with you today are things that I learned as a result of that move. Now, I want to start by just saying to you that we moved, and this was kind of our thought process. We got this. This is not going to be as hard as everyone says it is. You know, they say it's going to take a year. For the Mahusais, it'll take 6 months. Not even 6 months. It'll be like 6 weeks. We'll be like good to go. And, you know, really, I mean, ultimately in 6 days, we'll have our calendar where we want it. And, you know, we'll be just swimming along, and it's going to be awesome. I mean, did we actually say it out loud? No. But you know how we realized we had thought it? Because when we were diving deep into the pits of this is hard and I don't like it, is when you realize that you were so stinking prideful about what you thought you could do, okay? So the things I'm telling you have been learned. We have walked it. We have lived it. I have been in the corner of the closet crying about it. And that is not a joke, and that is not an exaggeration either. So I want to teach you something that we're going to start and end this training with. And it's a way to get you to understand one of the most important parts, I think, in life, but specifically in rebuilding, is that it takes time. Okay? So I'm going to teach you something that I want you to leave here remembering. So repeat after me. Times needed.
Times needed.
Just pray.
Just pray.
Let God's voice permeate.
Let God's voice permeate.
Okay, let's do it again. Times needed.
Times needed.
Just pray.
Just pray.
Let God's voice permeate.
Let God's voice permeate.
Okay, so some of you are looking at me like, what in the world is she having us do? In the educational arena, this is what we would call choral response. I say it, you chorally respond to me with it. Okay, so it is kind of strange, but it does help your brain. Times needed.
Times needed.
With a little more life. Just pray.
Just pray.
Let God's voice permeate.
Let God's voice permeate.
Now close your eyes and say it. Times needed.
Times needed.
Just pray.
Just pray.
Let God's voice permeate.
Let God's voice permeate.
Okay, now without my prompting, are you ready?
Times needed. Just pray. Let God's voice permeate.
Okay, I want you to keep that in mind, because here's what I can definitively tell you I have learned in my 3 years since we moved from Florida. Time is needed, and it requires a lot of prayer. And I need to be open to allowing God's voice to permeate not only my mind, but my heart and the very way that I choose to live my life. Okay, so I have given you 5 C's for rebuilding your business. So for those of you who are note takers, I think in outline form. So I like giving you somewhat of an outline. So I'm going to have 5 C's, 5 starting statements with C's. Number 1, creatively market yourself. Creatively market yourself. If you're going to rebuild your business, then you've got to learn how to get your name out there, how to let people know what it is that you are doing and why you are doing it. You've got to be creative in how you're doing that. When we moved here, because I was overwhelmed between moving across the country, restarting, having no friends, going everywhere unless you're in a Premier event, where you truly feel like a nobody because like nobody knows you and you know nobody, and so you're thinking, I'm a nobody. I mean, it doesn't sound rational, but it's just it's the reality of it. So you've got to creatively market yourself. One of the ways that I did that is I decided to attend Chamber of Commerce networking meetings, okay? All you do is you go to Google and you say Chamber of Commerce and you see what it brings up. And you're going to be looking, what I recommend if you are really looking to creatively market yourself, go within a 20 to 30 mile radius of where you live, depending on the level of traffic, right? I would not go 30 miles from where I live because the traffic would not make it worth it, okay? I really looked between 15, no more than 20 miles just because of the traffic situation in the Metroplex. But I looked up 4 Chamber of Commerces in a 15 to 20 mile area, and then I specifically looked at a weekly networking meeting that they would offer. And so I made a plan. They met Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It so happened that they all met on a different day. Why? Because they're not dumb. They want people to join multiple chambers. That's why they do that. So I started and I went 2 weeks, 4 times a week, because you can go to 2 networking meetings for a Chamber of Commerce before they're going to ask you to join. So I went for 2 times, 2 weeks in a row. And most of these meetings, depending on the stage of life that you are in, this is going to be important. The ones that I went to started at 7:30 in the morning, so they're early. So I was having to get up early, get myself ready, and get out the door to drive there. And yes, you have all those frustrations that I don't know where I'm going. I drove to the wrong place. I ended up having to walk in late because I drove to the wrong place. I don't like to be late. All of those different things that can affect you, but you go. Now what happens when you go? Who in here has been to a Chamber of Commerce networking meeting? Raise your hand. No one. Okay, can I assure you it is an untapped market in your area. If you can fit it into your calendar, then you can do a lot by attending a weekly networking meeting. Here's what happens. You go in. Before they start the meeting, you have networking. The cool thing about going to a networking meeting, everybody there expects to hear what you do. Everybody. That's the part that I love. It's not like you're going to someone and you're like trying to work Premier in, okay? Like I would go to Melissa and I would say to Melissa, hi, I'm Elizabeth Mahusai. Tell me what it is that you do. I would initiate. I would always try to initiate. You should initiate in most of your conversations as much as possible. Melissa would take the time to tell me about her business. And you know what Melissa would do? Well, tell me what you do. Because that's why she's there, to learn what other people do. So it's a natural. I'm not trying to manipulate the conversation. Here's the thing. Going to a networking meeting will get you super confident in responding when people ask you, what do you do? I mean, it does. It'll just get you super confident. So if I'm going to respond to what do you do, then I have to have developed a 30-second commercial to be able to respond to that. Hello there, Glitzy Gems. As promised, I wanted to provide you a video regarding 30-second commercials. Now you might be wondering, why would I need a 30-second commercial? Well, because when people ask you, what do you do, or you have opportunity to share what you do, you want to be able to communicate that in a very short period of time. And that's where taking the time to really work through and develop a 30-second commercial can be super helpful. I've been using these and really working to develop them by attending a weekly networking meeting on Wednesday morning through the Chamber of Commerce. And you might recall, I had suggested in your email that you look for networking opportunities around your area. Listen, you don't have to go to a networking opportunity to take advantage of having a 30-second commercial prepared. What about at that family dinner where one of your family members asks you, now tell me again what it is that you do? Having a clever response that might make them laugh or really think about it is a great way to really introduce your business. So here is an example of a 30-second commercial. Hi there, I'm Elizabeth, your favorite Premier Designs jewelry lady. I specialize in taking attention away from the hips and bringing it to the lips, away from the thighs and bringing it to the eyes by teaching women how to accessorize. My business has 2 parts. I give away jewelry for free and half price through jewelry accessory style sessions. That could be in your home, in your office, in your church, or at your local eatery. I also enjoy helping women to start and build a successful home-based business. That's what I do. I'm Elizabeth, your favorite Premier Designs jewelry lady. So that's one where you're in front of a group of people and you notice I started with my name, I ended with my name. because they're going to remember first and last primarily of what it is that you say. Now, of course, when you're like interacting with people at the family dinner, you're not going to go, "Hi, I'm Elizabeth, your favorite merchandise jewelry lady," because they're going to think you're weird. So that you want to be able to develop more than one 30-second commercial so that it can roll out of your mouth with ease and it not sound as though you're in front of a group of people presenting, okay? So on the way here, Fred and I, because we have been okay, so just so you know, if you haven't noticed already, I mean, my general tendency is I'm a pretty hard-hitting, get-her-done, list-making, you know, choleric kind of person, right? And so my very next closest, which is still a distant, is sanguine. So I've been trying really hard to kind of amp up my sanguine a little bit because people need to have fun. Life is challenging for a lot of people, and when they can laugh, it helps them. So we recorded a 30-second commercial on the way here. So go ahead, Fred, and you can see I did this specifically for our people. I gave them a challenge, which I'm going to give you too.
It's just an average day, riding along down the highway, driving it like we stole it. But then Elizabeth told me that I need to ask her what it is that she does for some challenge commercial, 30-second something or another. So with that, we go live to Elizabeth.
What? You're going to ask me what I do while I'm trying to drive it like I stole it? I can't believe it. Okay. I got it. Well, I am a Premier Designs jewelry lady, but really, I am a fashion paramedic. I help women who are sure their wardrobe is on life support to bring it back to life with my accessories. And so I do that through giving it away for free and half price through an in-home jewelry shopping experience. And you know what? I even enjoy helping other women to start and build a successful home-based business. You know what? I love my jewelry business. Do you like jewelry? That's it. That's a 30-second commercial right there. Okay, see, what I told our girls to do, that their challenge this weekend was to develop a 30-second commercial and then to record themselves on their phone and post it to our Facebook page. I said outtakes or redos, it did not matter to me. They could have fun with it. Because here's the thing, if they don't do it, then the fact that they're not going to use it, that's what I'm trying to say. I've got to actually get them to do something with it, okay? So I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing. Before you leave here, you should develop your own 30-second commercial. And you should have your sister jewelers here, like when you're least expecting it, to go, "So what is it that you do?" And then you're going to go, okay? Because you need to get it out. And literally, when you get home, you say to your husband or your children, "Okay, listen, I want you to just, when I least expect it, to ask me, tell me again what you do," so that it becomes such a natural response that you just say it. I mean, that's the whole point, without all the ums and wells and that type of thing. So that's a challenge that I have for you. Networking is a great way to build your business. Okay, when I network, I take a showcase of jewelry. Now, this is not about whether or not you like or dislike showcases. This is what I'm going to say to you. Because I had to learn to be creative to network myself. I started my business with showcases, I sold them all, and then I would just set jewelry up on the table. I moved to Texas. I started having to rely heavily on networking, U&2s, putting together creative ways to have shows. And what the nice thing about a networking opportunity is I can walk in, I can open up a showcase, and I have everything set within 15 seconds. I needed that, okay? In front of that, I place this thing. I got it from Staples, and I keep in front of it style guides, mini catalogs. Yes, I always have order forms, and yes, I have a bag because I expect to sell jewelry at my networking events, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that when I do that. I also have, of course, business cards that I have out. Now, let me tell you a little bit about business card psychology. Okay, I'm not trying to tell you, well, this is what I am going to tell you. The incentive store, there is a place for the business cards that they offer. If you need very inexpensive and quick turnaround, then use the incentive store. Here's the thing, with the incentive store, you have to choose their design. When you go outside of the incentive store, you can create a design. One thing that I will tell you is I believe jewelers put way too much information on their business cards. It is overwhelming. People don't read half of it. It usually gets thrown in the trash. So you need to have a reason for why they would want to actually look at, read, and utilize your business card. Yes, I am a proponent of having your picture on it. Here's some reasons why. Every time you send a thank you note to an advanced order, I include a card. They now know what the jewelry lady looks like. They're drawing conclusions about her. They know how to contact me. I no longer put my address on there. I used to think that was super important. Now I don't. But I have my name and my email, and then I tell them they can find me on Pinterest, on Twitter, and on Facebook. On the back, look on the back. I put the website along the very top. And then the QR code, which you can create free QR codes for yourself. And I tell them, scan this code to see the online catalog, fashion, accessorizing, and promotions. And then I have a verse that's significant for Fred and I, John 10, verse 10. So that's what I include on my business card. So that's the idea. Notice how it's glossy. And just the quality, you feel the thickness of the card. Now let me tell you something else about Vistaprint cards. Do you know that Vistaprint, first it's a Canadian company. I'm not anti-Canadian, but you are taking your business out of the country. Secondly, their cards are not the same size as a standard business card. So see, in the networking world, if I put a Vistaprint card, which I formerly used, up alongside of everybody else's business card, it was smaller and would get lost in the stack of everyone else's business cards. See, in the networking world, you walk out of there with 20 to 30 business cards. Whether or not your business card is the same size actually becomes significant in the networking and business world, okay? Again, I'm not anti-Vistaprint, I'm just giving you additional information about it, okay? So, that's important. Networking, networking, networking. Here's the other thing about networking. If you're gonna network, then you have got to get your jewelry on people. The only way to get your jewelry on people initially is that you give it away for free. I started networking. I chose one chamber to join. I didn't join multiple. You know why? I didn't have the money. We did not have the money. I mean, we left a very established customer base. I was used to doing 6 to 8 home shows a month, making no less than $1,000 a month. We came to Texas. I was barely scraping to get 1 to 2 shows a month. My average show for the first year was 300 or under. It's very difficult when you are working with people that you have no introduction to. It's different. So you can expect when you're in a rebuild, your show retail might be a little bit lower to begin with. It's not always that way. I'm just saying don't be surprised if it is. Secondly, so we did one chamber. The chamber that I joined allows you to pay monthly. So I make a monthly payment of $37 to be a member of that chamber. The best $37 I've spent each month since I joined Premier. Because not only have I learned skills like 30-second commercial, networking, how I view my jewelry, but I'm learning from the other business people there. Can I just say to you ladies, we take for granted what God has given us. We take it for granted. We take it lightly. When I sit in a room of entrepreneurs that have invested minimally $250,000 to follow their dream, to work for themselves, to do what they want to do, and I think $1,200 and I can make as much money as this person who is paying $2,000 a month in rent to have that storefront, I'm telling you, we don't take it seriously enough. We think lightly about what we have in many cases, or we don't have the proper perspective. My banking friend, who is like my best Texas customer, $300 every time she places an order, and she will not join. But you need customers like that, okay? She says the average small business loan is $250,000. Are you hearing me? And we can get into a business for $1,200. okay? $1,200 that you can be making profit as quickly as you can do 5 to 6 jewelry shows. Someone could earn profit within the second week of their business depending on how quickly they want to work. Who out there could get a small business and do that? They expect most small businesses, it takes 5 years to turn a profit. Those people go for typically 2 to 3 years minimally, taking no salary to get their business off the ground. We can have profit as quickly as we want to do 5 to 6 shows. Telling you, we've got to be creative. So I would give away. I guess I got on that tangent because I wanted you to know it's not like we had a lot of money, but I gave away $25 in free jewelry every week, $100 a month. It took about 2 months before people really started cashing those in, but here's what happened. I would have a winner of the $25 in free jewelry, and almost always the winner would order 40 or more, which pretty much means very little is coming out of my pocket. When possible, I would give that jewelry to the winner out of my kit. If I had to order it, I would, but typically out of my kit. Then what happens is she wears that jewelry to the meeting the next week. And people go, "Oh, I love your necklace." And you go, "Oh, I got it from that Premier Jewelry lady." And so what happened, the more people I gave jewelry to, the more people started wearing my product, the more they started being complimented, the more people started coming back to my showcase and looking at the jewelry that I had. The more they were going when they would say, "Oh, you know," because you can do a raffle every meeting, and they'd go, "Oh, there's a $20 guilt-free shopping spree, giveaway from Elizabeth, the Premier Designs jewelry lady," and you have women going, "Pick me, pick me." You really want that, okay? So while I didn't have the money to give away jewelry for free, I didn't have the luxury of not giving away jewelry for free, because I needed to get the jewelry on people to start seeing, touching, feeling the quality, being complimented when they're out and about, because that's what you're wanting to cultivate and craft. So be creative. All right, here's your second C. Combat. Combat overwhelming yourself. Now, you're in a Diva boot camp, so the word combat would be appropriate for preparing to be a good jewelry diva. So you've got to combat overwhelming yourself. Here's what I mean. When you're restarting, it is easy to sit there and think, "Oh, I got to get shows on my calendar. Like, I need to have a certain CV if you're working to get a commission check. Who do I call? Where do I go? What do I say? What do I do? I mean, like, I have to think about what I'm going to wear today. I've got to put jewelry on. I'm like, I don't even know where to drive. Like, I put the GPS address in, and it takes me down some construction detoured, dead-end road. I have no idea where I'm going. You get the idea? Okay? And that's exactly what it was like when we moved here, because all the construction in the Metroplex, like, you never know where you're going. The GPS is never correct. It's Fred and I still to this day, we're like, we just drove here without any GPS assistance. We are Texans, So we always laugh about that. But you've got to combat overwhelming yourself. Here are some things I learned for how to combat overwhelming myself. First, you need to set a weekly goal. You need to set a weekly goal. And your weekly goal needs to be split into 2 areas. The first area is, how can in the short term I earn money? Because guess what? Fred and I don't know what it's like for you, but Fred and I needed to earn money in Premier to put food on the table. We had no plan B. Fred was not working a corporate job. Premier was our full-time income. We went from typically bringing home $1,500 to $2,000 a month in home show income alone to barely scraping $300 when we moved here. By the way, I did not anticipate that. Like, I wasn't even thinking that when we planned this move. Like, we needed immediate income. So your weekly goal has to be split up into, how can I make immediate income? Secondly, how can I build long-term relationships that will rebuild my business in this area, wherever that is for you? All right, let me give you some ideas for immediate income. Immediate income is calling all the active senior living communities in your close immediate area. These are senior adults who may not be able to drive, but they still dress up, put makeup on, get their hair done, get their nails done, and they take the transportation that the community provides, and they go shopping, and they get their groceries, and they do all of these things, and you go and you set up in their facility and you sell jewelry to them. And you know what? You've immediately made money. Will you book shows there? Probably not. Will you sponsor one of them? Probably not. But will you make money immediately? Yes, you will. Okay? So you need to look for immediate income opportunities. Okay? Now, long term would be what I'm talking about, committing to attend a networking event week after week after week. Can I tell you, when I joined the McKinney Chamber, one of the best really in the area, do you know I didn't make my first sale until I was 4 months in of going every Wednesday? Let me tell you, by cresting into that 4th month, all I was thinking is, I just really want to quit. I just really want to quit. Like, is this really worth it? Am I really using my money wisely here? And what happened is a woman named Sandy, she purchased like $200 in jewelry to go on a cruise. And one of the things that she liked is that I sold it to her right out of my kit, except for one ring that we had to order in her size. And she was able to have it immediately. And she got so excited about it. She was my first order at the McKinney Chamber, and it was such an encouragement to me. And then it was kind of like things opened up for me after that. Here's what I learned and what I have learned. So when you go to these networking meetings, what did I say was the average small business loan for these people? $250,000. When a direct seller comes into their midst, their primary thought is they're just here to use us to get business and to move on. They don't really care about supporting us and our business. They're really here just to use this group to launch them, and they're going to move on. And let me tell you, because they think that, they're going to wait to see, are you really a serious business owner? Are you really here out of selfish reasons? Are you really here to give to this community of people and to support them and to refer to them and to be an active, viable business partner with them? So that's long-term, ladies. That's a long-term investment, and you have to see it that way. This is not an instant gratification thing that I'm teaching you. But here, let me tell you, by the end of that year, I had done 2 or 3 shows out of the group, but then I had a conversation with Cheryl O'Hagan. She's a RE/MAX realtor, one of my very dear friends. She and Dennis are part of this group. And I told her, I'm like, Cheryl, I'm not sure I'm going to renew next year. And she's like, why? And I said, I just don't know if it is a good use of my time. And she talked to me about it. We talked at length. And she encouraged me that I should stay. And she said, you know what? I do need to do a show. And you know what? She did book a show. That was in February of the next year. Her show was $1,200 in February of 2012. Her one show paid for my membership and then some. Isn't that cool how God works? Every year I've done more than enough shows, and I've sponsored people out of the chamber to make that $37 a month worth it. But here's the thing, I got involved. Like, I'm on the committee for Wednesday morning, so whether I'm greeting people or running the mic, or this month I'm calling cards, I'm a member of the team. And they see me as a long-term serious business owner. And I sell jewelry out of my kit almost every week at that meeting. If I need immediate income, every June I bring in my limited edition jewelry, and after the meeting I put it out on a table, and I'll sell $150, $200 of limited edition jewelry. I make it a special thing for them. It's immediate. So you need immediate income, and you need long-term relationship. A long-term relationship is joining a Bible study or a fitness class, or a bowling league, or a tennis class, or something that gets you into a new group of people that you're going to invest time getting to know them. That's a long-term investment that will go somewhere, but it takes time to go somewhere. So that's combating overwhelming yourself. Number 3, catch a greater vision. You need to catch a greater vision. I've alluded to this with what God has given. He has given you an amazing opportunity. You've got to see it that way. I'm going to challenge you, treat your jewelry like a store. Stop making everybody order jewelry when they purchase it from you. Do you know that you'll sell a lot more if you sell it to them right there? You will cultivate a customer faster when they come and they go, oh, I love that Sea Breeze necklace. And you go, well, I am happy to sell it to you right here and now. It is $34 or whatever it is. I don't remember off the top of my head. and you write that baby up and you put it on their neck and they walk out of there and they're like, oh, look at the jewelry that I just purchased. See that? I think we're missing this element in our business. We are so caught up on, oh, if I sell it to you, then I won't have it for my next show. Do you think God is surprised if you don't have the sea breeze for your next show? No, he is not, okay? If you have a piece like sea breeze, like Matthew, I just picked up a second Matthew because I am selling Matthew at least three different people at every show. So I want to be able to give it to them right there. And so I'm going to keep a second Matthew so that I'll always have one to show, okay? I'll have one to give away to the first person who says that I'll give it to them when they first purchase it. And then I'll have a second one at home that I'll rotate back into my kit when I go to my next show. Oh, treat your jewelry like a jewelry store and you will sell a lot more jewelry, you will gain a lot more customers, and you'll be able to creatively market yourself way faster than if you say, your jewelry is going to come in 7 to 10 days. Here's the other thing. I've gained some really loyal hostesses. You know why? Because they rarely have to make a delivery. Here's what I did. When we moved here, because I needed to make a long-term investment in relationship building, every jewelry show got delivered to me. I never had shows delivered to my hostesses. I would sell off the table. I would have it sent to me. I would pluck the jewelry that I sold, and then I would call Nicole, hey, Nicole, I got your jewelry. When can I come and see you to drop that off? That gives me another opportunity to see Nicole, invest in Nicole, get to know Nicole, and I drop primarily her hostess jewelry off and anything that I didn't have in my kit that we needed to order directly from there. The other nice thing about selling right out of your kit is you always have new jewelry. Like, it always looks good. Do you know when the last time I actually had to wash my jewelry is? A long time, because I'm always selling it out of my kit. Like, I rarely have a piece of jewelry that's been worn more than a couple of times because I'm always selling it out of my kit, okay? There's all kinds of benefits to treating your jewelry like a store. Here's a mantra that I think is a positive one that you can, it's a way to train your brain. So repeat after me. I have jewelry.
I have jewelry.
Oh, okay, you can be a lot more enthusiastic than that. I have jewelry.
I have jewelry.
And I want to show it.
And I want to show it.
I have jewelry.
I have jewelry.
And I want to show it. Okay, now don't repeat after me, but here's another way you could say it. I have jewelry and I need to show it. Some of you have jewelry and your biggest issue is that you need to show it. Greg Terrell will tell you it's not about whether or not you'll make money in Premier, it's about whether or not you'll choose to show the jewelry. If you show the jewelry, you'll sell the jewelry. If you show the jewelry, you'll gain hostesses. If you show the jewelry, you'll find people who are interested. And I had to get into the mindset of I've got some jewelry and I want to show it. And here's what happened. My eyes began to be open to opportunities that I would never have even considered in Florida. Why? Because I didn't need to. I had plenty of shows on my calendar in Florida, okay? But when I got out here, and I didn't have plenty of home shows, but I had bills that needed to be paid, when Boston's, that restaurant called Boston's, I can't think of what it's called right now, but it's called Boston's, that's the first word. No, it's not Boston Market. It's a different one. Anyway, the bottom line is it's a restaurant locally. They were doing a ladies' night appreciation, and I was like, can I set up my jewelry at that? Sure. We'll have other vendors come too. I did that 3 or 4 times my first year. I would almost always get a jewelry show from it. I would sell usually $100 or more right out of my kit, and it was a creative way to show my jewelry. I have jewelry, and I want to show it. Eyes open to opportunities, ears open to opportunities so that you can get your jewelry out there. Last thing on this, catch the greater vision. Look for ways you can control keeping your business going. There are a lot of things out of your control, but there are some things in your control. Here's one way. Before you write anything down, I want you to listen to the process so that it makes sense to you. Remember how I said treat your jewelry like a store? Okay, here's what I did. I would sell jewelry out of my kit. I would give it to them directly. I would take their order, and I would mark it, and I would put it in an envelope called Mystery Hostess. They have their jewelry. They're perfectly happy. I collect orders. As soon as I hit $100, I schedule a Mystery Hostess show. I develop an invitation. I meet Melissa when I'm at Walmart or when I'm at the grocery store or when I'm at church, and we have a conversation. She compliments my necklace, and I say, oh, it's Premier Designs jewelry. You know, do you like jewelry? And she'll probably say, yes, I like jewelry. Well, you know what? I'm doing a special event at my house or wherever you're going to do it. I would love for you to come, and you can see, for me, it's more than 400 pieces of jewelry. And you hand her the invitation. You know what? Why don't you give me your name and phone number just so that I can text you directions for where it is that you're coming. And I would get their information. Everywhere I would go, I'm inviting people. At the networking opportunities, I'm inviting people. Here's the thing. There's no pressure. Like, they don't have to order for it to be a show, right? I've already got the orders. So when they come, I can focus on building relationships, which is going to lead to future bookings. Okay, so here's the thing. The first Mystery Hostess show was February. Oh, that was the week that it iced the entire week. And like the Metroplex shut down and no one could actually get to our house because they couldn't travel the roads. Because, you know, we're not like you all in cold country where you have salt trucks and all that stuff. Like, you can handle that kind of thing. Yes, being stuck in the house for like 5 days, I was like, oh, I don't know how people who live in like really cold climates deal with this. That was a little unnerving. So that one got rescheduled. The next time when I rescheduled it, no one showed up. Then I did one for March, no one showed up. I did one for April, no one showed up. Are you hearing a theme? I did one in May, 6 people showed up, and I scheduled 3 shows. Here's the thing. How many times did Joshua have the people of Israel march around Jericho? Does anybody know the answer to that? Once a day for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, 7 times. But see, it doesn't say in Scripture that Joshua said to Holly, an Israelite, we're going to march around the walls of Jericho 6 plus 7, 13 times before you're going to hear the horns blow, and then the walls are going to come tumbling down, right? He didn't say that. It doesn't say that. He said you're going to march around silently 6 days, and not until you hear the horn blow will you give a great shout and God will bring the walls down. What if on time 12 they said, this is a waste of my time. I am not marching around this wall one more time. When in one more time, God brought all of those walls down. What if the wall in your business is at the cusp of being broken down by a God who knows exactly what's best for you in His timing and in His methodology, and yet you're right at the point of going, this is not worth it, I am done. That's how I was with those Mystery Hostess shows. And I just had to keep saying to myself, I have jewelry, and I want to show it with a smile. I have jewelry, and I need to show it, okay? You have got to have a greater vision. You never know when God is going to knock the walls down that you feel are hindering you to the greater success of your business. My challenge to you is keep taking one step in front of the other. One step in front of the other. Here's your next C. Courage to work no matter the season. Courage to work no matter the season. You see, rebuilding, listen, can I just say this? You don't have to move to a different state to have to rebuild your business. Who in here has already had that moment of, I got to totally rebuild my business? Okay, you probably didn't have to move to a different state to get to that point. Rebuilding is a season. So here are some things. It takes at least a year of diligent, never give up effort to rebuild your business. A year. That's what the Drapers told us. Elizabeth and Fred, it's going to take at least a year. That's when Fred and I had that whole mental, thought process of, a year? Give me a break. It's going to take us 6 months. Oh, no. It'll take us 6 weeks. Okay, but by about 2 months in, Fred and I were like, okay, 2 months down, 10 months to go. We're moving forward. And then it would be like 3 months down, 9 months to go. I mean, literally, we were on the month countdown. Okay? And then ultimately, it was really more like about 18 months when I go back and I look at it. And then I could tell you that, maybe it was maybe more like 2.5 years when, just of my mental state of being back to maybe a more normal business building mindset. So here's what happens when you're working your business no matter the season. Courage, by the way, courage is not acting Courage is not acting without fear. Okay? It's actually, that's not what courage is. You know, when we say that a fireman or someone who works in the fire department is courageous, it's not that they don't ever have fear. They're just acting in spite of that fear, or they utilize that fear to propel them forward. Okay? So courage to work no matter the season. Here's the thing. When you're rebuilding, here we go. Everyone just look at me. This is called rocket ships. That's why I teach my chemistry class. This is called rocket ships because they only go up and down, right, for the most part. You don't want them going left and right because normally that's not a good idea. Good thing. This right here, this is called NASCAR. This is no, right? Because NASCAR pretty much goes, you know, okay, you got it. All right. So rocket ships or NASCAR? When you're in a season of rebuilding and business is not so great, do you get a lot of recognition? We should be doing NASCAR on that, very rarely. Do you typically fight the feeling of being a loser when you're in a rebuilding? Yes, that would be rocket ships. Okay. Do you typically maybe would expect to have a loss of income, or if you have jewelers in your downline that you're going to have loss of jewelers in your downline? That would be a rocket ships. We came here with 180 people in our downline. We currently have 122. We came here with 15 designers. We lost 10 designers in our first year. We went from 5 legs to 2 legs in our first year. No, and yeah, we went from being a 5 diamond to a 4 diamond to a 3 diamond back to a 4 diamond. Okay? There are seasons in your business. So here's the thing. Are you going to have courage to work no matter the season? Are you going to have courage to work whether your name is listed on the board or not? Are you going to have courage to work when you know that other people are being successful and you feel like you're a total loser? Are you going to have courage to work when you're standing in front of your mirror and you're thinking, oh my goodness, my booking, like my booking thing inside of me is broke. Like I can't book a show to save my life, you know? I can't sponsor a jeweler to save my life. Has anybody ever felt that way? Like you feel like your booking thing is broke, whatever that thingy is, okay? Like I would have to say to myself in front of the mirror, okay, you know how to book a show. Like you know how to schedule a show, okay? And of course, Elizabeth Draper would say, the problem is you were saying, book a show, book a show, book a show. You know, so we're going to have those seasons. Here's the other thing that rebuilding does. God will use it to strip you of everything that is self-confidence so that you learn to rely on Him. He will use it to strip you of everything that is self-confidence so that you will learn to rely on Him. Now, let me just say this. Can you build this business without God? Yep, because it's a business, and it's a good business. People don't have to come in here and believe God, profess Christianity, go to church, read their Bible to build a business. What I'm telling you is my own personal testimony is it makes a difference when you do. Okay? It makes a difference in how you can go through life and experience seasons successfully, all while keeping your business moving forward. Maybe not as quickly as you want, but in a way that will move you beyond it. That's the key. Listen, Eris and I moved, and in our first year, we both had hysterectomies. What is up with that? Like, when she told me that she had to have surgery, I felt terrible for her, but I had no idea that I would be having one later that year. So anyway, by the way, it's not anything about moving to Texas. It's just, you know, it's just God's timing. But here's the thing. Do you think having to have major surgery and when you're supposed to take 6 weeks off affects your business? You should be rocket shipping that. Yes, okay? Anything that messes with your hormones, woo, look out. Okay. Here's the thing. Life's challenges, when you have courage to work no matter the season, life's challenges will not stop you because you have decided to rebuild. Listen, there are life's challenges. I gave you one, major surgery. It wasn't only just having the surgery. We're self-employed. Fred and I had already been self-employed for 7 years. We carried a high deductible insurance policy. We had to take out a loan for $10,000 just to get the surgery done so that I wasn't in pain 24/7 and putting a heating pad on me every single time I walked in the door. $10,000. Do you think we had it in the budget to add a $10,000 debt to our whole life? Let me assure you that is a NASCAR no. Okay? But you just have to go, God is not surprised by this development. We're going to trust him. And that's another thing in your thinking, that if you will just say to yourself regularly, God is not surprised. God is not surprised by this development in my business. I choose to trust him. You've got to persevere. Every season has something to teach you. Every season has something to teach you. Long-term success comes when you allow God to teach you right where you are. Here's the visual that I like to give. That if I think about my journey as I've got to walk through that door, and then I've got to slide those doors open, and I've got to take a turn out of this building to step out into that area. What's happening to me right now, God is using to cultivate in me, in my life, in my thinking, in my mindset, in my attitude, in my belief set. He is preparing me right now for what he knows is going to come through those doors, take a right out those doors. I can't see it. I don't know exactly what it is, but God does. And he is using my circumstances right now to prepare me for a certain future that only he knows is coming. Only God knows it's coming. But let me tell you, he knows it. And if you will allow him, he'll prepare you to successfully maneuver through it. But the question is, are we too busy going, I want relief right now, and we are short-circuiting our learning process for what he knows is coming down the road? And that happens all the time in Premier. I just want to quit. I just want to quit. But not quitting prepares me for what God knows is down the future. Does that make sense? So it's very important that you choose to persevere. And lastly, you have to take every thought captive. You have got, that's our last C, captivate every thought. We've been creative, we've combated, we've caught a greater vision, we've had courage, now we have to captivate. And I'm going to close it out. Captivate every thought. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, starting in verse 4, 5, and 6 primarily, it says that our weapons are not weapons of this world, that they are mighty to demolish every stronghold that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, to take every thought captive and make it obedient to Jesus Christ. Okay, so if I had to give you a visual, if my business card were to represent a thought in my mind that I had regularly in front of my mirror, you don't know how to book a show. That's a thought. Now see, what happens is that thought comes into my mind, and either I let it go and it swirls around in my mind, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't schedule a show to save my life. Everyone says no. Everyone already has a jewelry lady. You see how that begins to spiral out of control the more I just let that thing hang around in my head? Versus, I don't know how to schedule a show. And this is what it's like. It comes into your mind and you go, whoa, 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 whoa. Now you're still doing your hair and your makeup and you're going, I can't schedule a show. What? Like, is that thought business building or is that thought business busting? It's business busting. I can't let that thought hang out in my head. I've done more than 600 jewelry shows before I moved to Texas. I can't let that thought hang out in my head because it's not true. I reject that lie. And I've got to replace that lie with truth. With truth. That's taking thoughts captive. And one of the ways that you can know when you're dealing with a lie and when it needs to be replaced with truth is to filter it through the truth of God's Word. That's the truth that I choose to use. This is Philippians 4:8. It's Paul speaking to the the Philippian church. And I mean, he's in jail. He's chained to a guard. I mean, dude can't even go to the bathroom without having to have the guy there with him, okay? It reminds me of the Duck Dynasty episode where, you know, he's handcuffed aside and, you know, trying to relieve himself, okay? Except it probably maybe wasn't that funny. But here's the thing. You've got to take that thought, I can't schedule a show, and you're asking yourself, is that true based on what the Word of God says? Or is it noble, worthy of respect? This is what's all in Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is just. Is it fair? Would it be fair to assess my ability to schedule a show in, say, a month period after moving versus 9 years of having a successful business in another area? Would it be fair to make that? No. In the same way that it wouldn't be fair to you to judge your entire business on one poor show. That's not fair. Is it pure? Morally pure? By the way, this would come into play when you're struggling for shows. You're going to be tempted to do things that aren't morally right. Okay? You're going to be tempted to not have integrity. Because if we're not careful, we go into desperation mode. When we're in desperation mode, we're one step away from falling directly into a pit of mud that gets us into a lot of trouble. Is it lovely, beautiful, attractive? This is where this comes in. When you're struggling in your business, you stand in front of the mirror, and that's when you start having that I'm a loser thing. Does that make me feel more beautiful about myself, more attractive about who I am? No, it doesn't. Got to reject that stuff. Is it good report or virtuous? That motivates us to do better. Again, you got to reject a lot of things that you have in your head because it's not motivating you to do anything better. And is it praiseworthy? Worthy of commending to others? Would you want to share that? This is why a lot of times we need to not share what's really happening in our business. I'm not suggesting lying, but when your family asks you how things are going, even if they're not going well, you need to find a positive way to respond to them truthfully. It could be, God's teaching me a lot right now. Would that be a true and accurate statement? You're not lying. You're not saying, oh, it's hunky-dory. You know, I'm not making any money. No one's scheduling any shows, and I feel like a total loser. But God is teaching me a lot of great things. Okay? So you need to filter it. When you reject it, then you've got to replace it with what is true. That'll be different for each of you. The scriptures that will be an encouragement to you will be different from scriptures that were an encouragement to me. If you want to explore this further, you need to watch that thinking training on the YouTube that gives the entire, I walk you through a little bit of how the brain works and why this is significant. But I will tell you, this scripture became, I probably spoke it 10 or more times every day. When I had that thought, I have the thought that comes into my mind, like, we made a mistake moving here. Now, if I'd have let that swirl around in my head, that could have totally derailed what God was doing in our life. I had to take that thought captive. Did we make a mistake moving here? I had to filter it through the truth of God's word. No, God was very clear. We knew that we knew that we knew this was the place He wanted us to move. I reject that lie. And Lord, I'm going to choose to replace it with what is true, what is just, what is noble, what is pure, what is lovely, what is of good report and virtuous and praiseworthy. I am going to meditate on those things. I would say it over and over and over and over and over. Or maybe it would be Isaiah 26:3. Oh, if I keep my mind stayed on you, you promise to keep me in perfect peace. Or Isaiah 40, verse 31, where it says that when you wait upon the Lord, you will rise up on eagle's wings. You will run and not grow weary. You will walk and not faint. Or maybe it's Galatians 6:9, that do not grow weary in well-doing, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest. Or maybe it's He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. Or 4:13 in Philippians, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Or when you need money and you just do not know where it's going to come, it's Philippians 4:19 that says, my God shall supply all of your need according to His riches in Christ Jesus. What will it be for you? I don't know. But what I do know is this, that when you choose to take every thought captive and you make it obedient to Jesus Christ and you choose to replace lies with the truth of God's word, He will transform your thinking. And when He transforms your thinking, your whole beliefs, your attitudes, your actions, your very habits, and the results that you get in your business will totally be transformed. And I'm not talking about you're going to make $1,000 every time you walk out the door. I'm not talking about putting a monetary value to it. I'm talking about you're going to be successful in the eyes of a God who gave you Premier for a purpose. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? Because that initial thing that I taught you in the very beginning, let's see if we remember it. What's needed? Time's needed. Then what are we supposed to do? Just pray And let God's voice permeate. Let's say that again. Ready? Times needed. Just pray. Let God's voice permeate. Do it again. Times needed.
Just pray.
Let God's voice permeate. Now listen, I do have hearing issues, but I can clearly see your lips. So if your lips aren't moving, then you're not saying it, okay? So there's a very important reason why I'm asking you to say it. So now I want you to close your eyes, and everyone has to close your eyes. I'm not going to do anything weird, strange, or odd, but you have to close your eyes. Close your eyes, really. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. All right, ready? Say it with me. Times needed. Just pray. Let God's voice permeate. And look right up here. Time is needed. If you will just pray and you will let God's voice permeate in your life, He will do the most unexpected and amazing things to allow you to be all that He desires you to be, which ultimately is to bring Him glory, to advance His kingdom, and to be a light for others. That is the fulfillment of that last and fifth thing that Andy has been talking us about, which is sharing hope in the homes of America. You are a hope giver through the premier business that God has given you. No matter where you are right now, you can choose to rebuild by being creative, by combating being overwhelmed, by catching a greater vision, by courageously working no matter the season, and by captivating every thought. Have a great rest of your retreat.